I love this one. It's the I'll fix it later guys, or you know what? Everything's working fine. I don't need to do anything today. This is the folks that have no budget system. They don't track anything. There's really no intentionality. Their portfolio is just a hodgepodge of different investments. There's no identification of what it looks like. And you know what? They're going to get to it, but maybe tomorrow, maybe in a month from now. And it always gets pushed down the list. And at the end of the day, they feel a little bit disempowered by their current financial situation because maybe at the end of the month, there's no money left over, or, they kind of feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck. And it's funny to talk to these people. And I say funny because it's just, I've seen it time and time again, and they can identify this. They see it in themselves. They're like, I'm going to push that down. And they know it's a priority, but it gets pushed down the list constantly. It goes to the third or fourth or fifth. And I've had a lot of experiences with this. And it's people that reach out to me and they want to get a plan going. They want to start talking about investments. And then they go radio silent. 6-7 months go by. I've followed up with them. Nothing happens. And then out of the blue, they reach back out. Hey, I want to talk about this. I know we were talking about this. And they get hot and heavy, and then they fall by the wayside again. And it's these folks that just don't make it a priority. And I find that to be really challenging for them because oftentimes the reason that they're reaching out is because something negative has happened. Maybe the market's down. Maybe they finally had a chance to open their portfolio and a certain position just wasn't performing like they'd hoped. And it's really challenging for them because now they feel like they're behind the eight ball. So why does this matter at all? It's that a lot of high income earners oftentimes become high income earners over a slow burn. And this can be something that you go from making 100,000 to 150, 200, 250, 3, 4. It doesn't just happen overnight. And what I find is that if you're going to fix it later, all of a sudden you're letting these things compound. You're letting these small issues build and build and build, and that it starts to drift and there is no specific goals. There's no specific strategy. And then you get to a point and you look back and you say, oh my gosh, if I had only done this when I should have said this then, all of these things factor in. And I look at it from that standpoint and I try to help them and say, hey, we can't do anything about the past. All we can do is make it a priority going forward. And working with an advisor is a really valuable tool for these folks because there's some accountability. There's somebody that's always constantly knocking on their door. And so the way that we do this with our clients is we have a service plan with our clients, and it's not all consistent across every single client. Not every client needs that, but there's those clients that need that heavier touch. They need more connection points, or they need less. They just need that periodic check-in, and they just need to know that we're doing our job. But that consistency allows them to bring that level of consideration. It allows them to be more consistent in what they're doing. It allows them not to hide, and that they can have that as a priority, their financial future as a priority, as opposed to putting it off. So there's some level of procrastination, which then gets back into what's your relationship with money, and all of this stuff ties back to our behaviors. So if you are the one that is, let's talk about this tomorrow, let's think about this in the future, you know what, I'm just going to get past this next event and then I'll have a time to sit down. It starts today. Stop putting it off. Have a conversation, whether that's with me or another trusted professional. It has to start now. A big one that I constantly am coming back to with a lot of my clients is avoiding financial planning and investing because they just don't get it. This is a topic that I struggle with because I'm very curious by nature. I want to understand why things work the way they do. And yes, there are some complicated things out there that are way above my intelligence level and way beyond the scope of what I really understand. But when it comes to financial stuff, this stuff is very, very easy to understand if you give it the opportunity. And I think that we as an industry have done a bad job because we talk down in some cases. There is a level of jargon that's being used that people feel like there is just a moat around what it means to have financial clarity. And so with a lot of these folks that say, I just don't get it, it's that they lack clarity. They lack understanding. And it pushes them to procrastinate because it feels complex. And my goal as an advisor, and I've been doing this for close to 20 years now, is to land and come together where they are. It's not about telling them what my view is, because I can talk circles around people and their financials. I can make somebody so confused, but that doesn't do anybody any benefit. It really doesn't. So what we do at 4 Points Wealth is really try to understand and connect what it means for your financial clarity. And this might be as simple as an analogy. I love understanding what you do as your profession, because I tend to know a lot about other things. And so I can create an analogy that might help you understand a financial concept. What's the difference between a Roth and an IRA? Well, there's a great analogy out there that's built just for you. And it's just dependent on what maybe your career path is. If we can start to think about, the complexities of all the different systems, and you're in healthcare, well, guess what? Our body is a complete complex system that is constantly moving. So we can kind of think about your financial life through that lens. So I try to understand what you do, how you approach life, and then I can connect those things to the myriad of financial tools that are out there, the financial systems, how that can optimize what you do. And this avoidance can really create really expensive defaults, whether that's, wrong allocations or tax surprises or missed benefits or slower progress than you really would have hoped. So instead of getting all worked up about, I don't get it, I'm just going to bury my head in the sand. What I oftentimes think about this from a reframe is kind of thinking about kind of three questions, or you might think about it and breaking it down as very specific. So what is it that you don't get? Maybe it's you can ask and say, okay, well, am I on the right track? Well, what's your current savings rate? What's my investment mix? To understand, getting curious and asking questions about what really works and also what your financial life looks like can be very beneficial to unlocking that level of understanding that just gets you a point of feeling good. Because what I find is that if you're not understanding, you're not doing the right things, and you're just confused, then you're going to go walking around aimless. And that's going to be, really have impacts for your financial success. Insurance is always an interesting conversation. And there's there's a red flag out there, which oftentimes looks like if I bring up the word insurance, somebody will be like, insurance? Yeah, never heard of them. And what it is it's people that are not protecting themselves. And this isn't just life insurance, although that is a certain part of it, but it's looking at the world of insurance, whether that's homeowners, car insurance, disability, long-term care, life insurance. There's a whole slew of things out there for insurance and to protect the thing that you're building. And yes, I do insurance in my business and it's a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And I look at insurance as this interesting thing. And when I was going through the financial planning process for the CFP board, I learned a quadrant method of understanding when you should have insurance and when you shouldn't have insurance. Because I think I fell in the mode of, nothing bad is going to happen to me. Why would I need insurance? In fact, when I was playing rugby, I didn't have health insurance. And I thought that was pretty silly of me, because what if I was out there and, got hurt and had to actually go see a doctor or had to get carted off the field? And it was a really silly moment. And it made me realize that, maybe I should be looking at insurance as something to be used as a core benefit, as opposed to something that's this thing that's a fringe that I don't need it. And I look at this as, so how do we evaluate the need for insurance? The first is, how severe would the loss be? Is it low severity? High severity. So low could be uh, you know, getting offered the insurance package at for buying a side lamp at Target. That's the if you lost that, if something happened to it, maybe it got, fell off the counter and fell on the ground and broke, uh, that wouldn't be a major issue. But if you got in a car wreck and your car got totaled, that would be a very severe outcome. That would be awful. Not only your physical well-being, but also the vehicle that would move you around. So think about severity: low severity, high severity. And then we look at frequency: high frequency, low frequency. If it's a high frequency type of thing, well, maybe we try to avoid it, or we reduce that, or we can even retain it. So there's this quadrant that looks at, and then, but if it's low frequency, high severity, we should absolutely insure it. So these are some things to think about when it comes to if insurance is necessary for you. And so I'll look at somebody's plan, and we'll see if what their alignment is on certain types of insurance risks. And then we'll look at them and say, okay, what should we insure it? Should you retain the risk? Should you just reduce the risk? What does that look like? And I really think this is so important, because one bad event could undo a decade of smart financial decisions. And that can just derail your financial life. If a death happened, or a disability, or something were to occur, gosh, I unfortunately have seen so many situations where a client comes to me and something happened, and it came out of the blue, whether that was a health emergency, whether that was somebody passing away unexpectedly or suddenly. These are all things that are very real. And a lot of the times we are so caught up in our own world that we think this will never happen to me. And that's why the insurance exists, is that it may happen to you. And the actuarial tables suggest that you're just part of a statistical and mathematical equation. So what I look at is, instead of thinking about whether I need this or not, think about it from protecting your family, protecting your income, protecting your assets, protecting liabilities. If you've built it, you should insure it. And so I'm going to provide this as a part of our building blocks to understand a strong financial plan. Another red flag that I look at is for the folks that say, I'm just waiting for the perfect time. This relates a little bit to the I'll wait till tomorrow to get it done. But the I'm waiting for the perfect time is oftentimes the person that's sitting in cash, waiting for the market to drop, or where they feel really safe. And it's investing after the run up, or endlessly researching instead of actually taking action. These are the types of behaviors that are really going to derail an opportunity. We saw this a lot during the last, let's say, 7, 8, 10 years with people trying to buy their homes for the first time. They were just waiting on the sidelines until they could buy that perfect home. Well, if you lived in a major metropolitan area like Denver, or Colorado in general, really, you never saw that opportunity. And maybe now we're at a low point. People are waiting for the bottom to drop out. But the reality is that it may or may not happen. And there's so much opportunity cost lost by people waiting for the perfect time. They're waiting for the next thing. They're going to watch the market drop, and it may not. It may not work in the way that they have. Or maybe if it goes up 100% and then only drops 50%, it's still significantly higher than where it was today. And I think about this from the standpoint of investing. I think about it from, financial planning. There's no perfect time, because oftentimes when the perfect time comes, it's already been passed. And so I think about, how do we work with our clients to engage with them, to help them understand that we don't need to do any more research. We don't need to do any more, spend any more time analyzing. Sometimes we just need to take action. Does it make sense to do your due diligence? Absolutely. But sometimes if you're pushing it off because of not being the right time, you're going to probably miss significant opportunities. And so I look at, what is the cost, and why does this really matter? The cost of missed returns, the cost of missed consistency. I look at, most wealth is built over time and discipline, not perfect timing. As Warren Buffett says, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And I talk with my clients a lot about that. And so if you're sitting on the sidelines waiting for that next opportunity, that might be today. That might just be today. If you're looking at a specific price of an asset, maybe today's the best time, because if you take a long enough view, it's likely that this is the lowest point that it's going to be in history. And so if you think about it from that view, it'll change your perspective on missing those opportunities. So what I use is I kind of take a rules-based approach. I look at automatic investing and then scheduled rebalancing. What does this look like to you? This could be, hey, on the 15th of every month, I'm going to put money into this account and I'm not going to look at how it's invested. I'm just going to put it into that portfolio that Taylor and I talked about. And that's going to be the strategy for building wealth right now. And then once the account gets to a certain level, we're going to continue to reevaluate this. This is not a set it and forget it type of machine. It's something that we engage on a regular basis. And so if you fall victim, I guess you could say, and we're not victim mentality folks over here at 4 Points Wealth, but if you see and identify some of these red flags in your own life, gosh, this could be with your spouse too, or with somebody that you care a lot about. These red flags can be massive hurdles and massive challenges to overcoming those and then having financial success. So if you've identified them, this is now a wonderful time to schedule some time to work with 4 Points Wealth Management and my team, because we work on these exact red flags, because we want to take these red flags and turn them into green flags.